Okay. Hi guys, welcome to Skybound Prep. Today we'll be going over reading section. This is lesson one for reading passages. Okay, so here we have our general lesson plan. It should be on the Skybound Prep page at the bottom. You can scroll through that and go along with me, or you can just look at the live stream and go along with me there as well. Okay, so first of all, there are some major changes to the new SAT. All the questions are now passage-based, meaning there are no more sentence completions to worry about. And also, the type of subjects each passage covers are the same in all tests. So, the new critical reading section will consist of one passage dealing with U.S. history and world literature, two passages dealing with history and social studies, and two passages dealing with science. Now, for the science passages, these will most likely be data interpretation questions, and they'll have you analyze a chart or graph. And that's similar to the ACT science passages, if you've taken ACT or just for some background information. So, so we're going to go over a few general approaches um, to the reading passages. So first of all, you want to skim over the questions and plot them accordingly next to the line of the passage. These questions will specify where you can find them in the passage. Plotting questions allow you to focus your attention to portions of the passage where you can find important information for answering questions. Underline any vocab that is mentioned in the questions. So based on this approach, we're going to actually look at a practice test from College Board. In SAT practice test one, we're going to do the first passage in the reading passage. So let's see. Okay. So like the tip says, you want to skim over the questions and plot them accordingly. So you don't actually want to read the passage first. You want to go to each question, skim through them, and see if there's any line-based questions that you can plot inside the passage, so you can refer back to them quicker, and rather than keep on looking back and forth. So it's number one, line-based. No, it's not. There's no lines contained here to mark. Two, same thing. Three, there actually are lines 1 and 65. So we're gonna go to lines 1 and 65, and the way you would plot them, I'll actually try out the blank page if you're looking on the Skybound Prep lesson on the website. So you would actually plot it. Let's say the lines like here. This is from the reading passage. So you would mark it like this was question number 1, and then you go to line 65, and you mark it you marked that was also, let's say, question number 1. Sorry for the mess up, but you get the general point of marking your questions. We'd go on. We'd mark. Although 5 does have lines in it, that's an answer choice, so you don't want to mark those. These are actually evidence-based questions, which refer back to the question before, so there's no need to mark these out. 6, same thing. 7, you actually would, because it says the main purpose of the first paragraph. Although it doesn't give you a specific line, you can still find the first paragraph. And if it gives you multiple lines, then you just want to bracket it. Okay. And number 8, same thing, line 2. And then number 9, line 32, you want to mark those up. So now you should be able to have a passage that is marked up. So when you read through it later, you can focus on what you marked on, and hopefully you should be able to get answers off those. Now let's go back to our tips. Read over the passage carefully, underlining key information that helps you understand the passage's tone and main idea. Box proper nouns, dates, and time indicators. So, like I just said, just read over the passages carefully. You should be able to get the main idea and tone of the passage through reading the first and last paragraph, and potentially even the last sentence of each paragraph. As you come across plotted questions, read two sentences above and below, and then answer the related questions. So, like, let's say one of the questions said, "Go to line 10," right? You don't only want to read the sentence in line 10. You also want to read a little bit ahead and below to make sure you get the general context of line 10 or any line they give you. Okay, so once you finished reading the passage, or once you finish the passage, begin answering questions that were not you're able to answer through your first run. So, and also save many questions for last. So you actually answer all the questions that you plotted first, because those are the easiest and you know where they are. Then you leave the main questions for last once you get the general idea of the passage after reading the whole thing. So read through each answer choice for each question and underline 2 to 3 words for each choice that seems to sum up the general idea of the answer. Be on the lookout for things you can eliminate. Underline only what separates the answer choices from the other choices. Look for patterns within the answer choices, and do not choose the right answer, or do not choose the answer choice that looks right except for one word. It is most likely wrong. Half right is all wrong. So when you look through your answer choices, make sure to look at every word specifically. If one word is wrong, then the whole thing can be wrong. And also, the answer choices are usually based on what the passage says, so make sure your answer choice is not based on what your opinion is or something that's irrelevant from the passage. Okay. Um, any tone shifts within the passage will be reflected by the first and last sentence of the paragraph. So, as I said earlier, um, that's you always want to look at the first and last parts of the paragraph to get the main idea and potentially the tone. And you can refer back to first and last sentence during the first and last paragraph to help you gain your bearing. So we mentioned that already. Try to picture yourself through the SAT. The entire reading section is about, it's here it says 53 questions, but in this case it's 52 with 65 minutes. So that gives you around 1.25 minutes for each question. So make sure keep your time up. So, okay, read the entirety of each answer choice. Answer choice must be 100% correct to be the right answer. You get half true, the rest is still incorrect. So I mentioned again earlier that if one part of the answer choice is wrong, the whole thing's wrong. So don't fall into that trap. Look for words in each answer choice that makes it much more likely to be incorrect. So we just listed a few examples of these, but absolute, extreme, and intensifying language. Um, you just really have to memorize these or just be able to recognize them in an answer choice because they usually reflect the wrong answer choice because they never want to say something too harsh or um, too nice or too good or too bad, like all, never, every, none. All these are absolute language. So watch out for these. These probably result in an incorrect answer. Watch out for correct information that doesn't answer that particular question. So make sure the answer choices you pick are based on the passage and not what your opinion says. And also make sure the answer choice only pertains to the section of the passage. So the if it gives you a line, make sure you're only reading around that line and not anywhere else in the passage. Answer choices that match your opinion, but don't answer the question are incorrect. Again, opinions are incorrect. Questions and their answers are often similar. Use these questions to answer the others. For example, if you see different questions with different multiple choices, and when you come across something that makes your answer choice wrong, cross out the word and or phrase, then cross the letter of the answer choice. This helps you show your work and understand why you eliminated an answer. So basically, showing your work. We're gonna work a practice passage later, but when you show your work, you just want to cross out the letter that you know is wrong, and also you want to cross out the word in the answer choice that you know is wrong as well. To basically, when you go back at it, back to the question, you know why you got it wrong, or you know why you chose an answer choice incorrect, and that's basically showing your work. So you don't have to look back and say, how did I get this answer, or how did I say this answer is incorrect. All right. Um. Okay. If the question mentions one specific sentence or word, look at the sentence and surrounding sentences if necessary. Look again, read around the lines or words that you're given to get the context of the question. If the question mentioned multiple lines, read the entire passage or paragraph of it. Yeah, just make sure you read not only the lines given, but the lines around it. And in this case, probably a paragraph of multiple lines. If the question does not specify any lines, leave it for last. In general, you can look at the introduction, topic sentence, the first and last paragraphs. So make sure that you read around those to get the main idea into it. Let's see. Answer choices will match the main idea to the specific area. If you're stuck between two, only ones that closely match with the passage says that it will be right. Be careful not to let what you know from the passage get mixed up with any prior knowledge and bring to the test or info you inference. So make sure you don't base your answer choices off your opinion. Okay. When deciding between two answer choices, return to the passage and identify any words or phrases that the answer choice shared with the passage. So make sure you base all your answer choices off what the passage says and not what your friend thinks. So let's see. If you're stuck on a question, this is just if you're stuck on a question that is part of a pair that asks for evidence from the passage, start on the second question and eliminate any answer choices that do not support the first question. Use the remaining answer choices to answer the first question. And when answering main idea and tone questions, mark the tone of each of the answer choices with the tones that do not match. So, well, it will be the incorrect answer. So, let's just say you know the passage is a positive toned, is positive, and the answer choices are negative. Then you probably want to cross out the negative ones and try to find the positive one. So that's how you use your tone to answer your question. And what answer? Okay, yeah. Okay, vocab questions are not strictly from the passage, so when you're answering vocab questions in the SAT, it is often helpful to read the surrounding sections of the passage to gain context. So again, just read around your lines, read around the vocab word that's given to gain the context, and eventually get the answer. Okay, the special case, double long passages. So we're going to go to a long passage to show you an example. Okay, so here's a double passage. And so here's some more practice. Plot the question in both questions. Plot the questions in both questions as before, and also mark which passage each question deals with. Passage 1, 2, or both. So we go to this double passage. What it means is you want to mark this question only pertains to passage 1. So you're going to mark 1. Same thing here. 1, 1, 1. And this one's also 1. Then these are specifically for passage 2, so you're going to mark a 2. This just helps you organize your questions and easily go back to them. 2, 2. And then the rest of these 4 are actually both, so you're at B right next to all these. So then after you've done that, you want to read passage 1, underline the box as before, and answer plotted questions. So read passage 1, answer them like you do for a regular passage, and then before you go to passage 2, you actually want to go to both questions and answer or cross out anything you can just by reading passage 1. After that, you want to go read passage 2, answer all the questions based on passage 2. Then you want to finish by answering all the both that you weren't able to complete by only reading one passage. That's the general, that's basically just what it says here. Before you begin passage 2, look at the answer choices of both. Yep. So you want to read before you read passage 2. Go through both questions and look what you can press out. Then you want to read what passage 2 and then answer related questions. Then you want to finish with the both. All right. So now we finished with the tips. We're going to talk about some small tips overall, and then we're going to go do a practice passage. So About every 9 reading questions, you'll have approximately 11 minutes to complete them. So keep your timing right. For the new SAT, there's no guessing penalty, so always guess an answer choice. If you find yourself short on time, you can scout out the passage to determine their difficulties. You can answer them in whichever order you want, so don't spend too much time on a couple of minutes scouting. And in general, there'll be one fiction passage, a couple of nonfiction, and one historical. And keep in mind, the historical document is usually going to be the hardest one to digest, so you might want to leave that for last. Watch your time. Don't spend a huge amount of time on one question. You can flag the question. I usually like to circle the number, and then always go back to it if you have time. But there's no need to spend all your time on one question rather than answering all the questions. So make sure you spend your time on each question well, and it just takes practice. So yeah, timing's all practice. So we just went through all the this whole lesson. Now we're gonna go through a practice test. Or we're gonna go through one section to get you familiar with our lesson or tips. Okay, so as I said earlier, we plotted the questions. After that, we go to the plotted questions and answer those. So this is right here. As used in line 165, directly most nearly means A, frankly, B, confidently, C, and D. So we actually want to go to line 1, read that real quick, where it says, um, came directly. Um, Akira came directly, breaking out tradition was that a heady follow form had he asked his mother to speak to his father to approach a go-between. Keep in mind, I didn't only read this one sentence. I actually read actually the whole paragraph to get the general context of what this is asking. They go to line 65 directly because use of go-between takes much time. I actually want to read a bit about it. Okay, so what do you think directly listening means? So doesn't mean frankly. Putting in frankly doesn't really make sense because it's not really discussed how exactly frank at all. A keyword you want to see a connection between these two is that the word go between is used in both. As you can see, was it a go between? It was um, a go between. Um, Now, go between is probably meaning to like overcome something past skipping a step, most likely. So what most likely fits that? Not confidently, not frankly, not with precision, but with mediation, without mediation, which means um, to skip a step, uh, and yeah. Okay. Now we go to number 7, which is another line-based question. So the main purpose of the first paragraph, we actually just read the first paragraph, so if you need a refresher, just read that. But it's basically him just questioning himself on a certain go-between that we're unsure of right now. But all you know, he's questioning himself, and it's not in a way that he's directing it towards someone. It seems like he's talking to himself. So, is it describing a culture? That is not the case here, because there's nothing being described. Criticizing a tradition. Criticizing is actually a pretty harsh word, so don't look at that one. And there's no criticism of a tradition at all in the text. Question the suggestion. This may seem correct at first, but that's not exactly correct because he's actually not questioning a suggestion from someone, but he's questioning himself. So analyze the reaction. This is more like the answer that we're looking for because he's actually analyzing the situation through many rhetorical questions. Okay, number 8. As used in line 2, form most nearly means. Let's see. So, How do you follow form? How do you ask his mother to speak to his father? So form, first of all, here's a look-up question. So you first want to think of a word in your head that might make it fit. So what do you think he had followed form? I think form would probably mean like a procedure or yeah, like a procedure. So we're gonna go down if anything fit the procedure. In this case, it's with the tradition, as you will see as you read the passage later. Now, there's what do you thought of, which is a procedure fit A appearance? No, it doesn't. Does it fit custom? Um, Possibly because we're talking about a culture. So if you follow a procedure of a culture, it's similar to custom. Is it a structure? Not really, because the structure is not exactly the right word here. In nature, that's incorrect. So it's either between B and C, and B is the more specific one due to tradition or culture. So the answer is B, custom. Now we go to number 9. Why does Akira say his meeting with Chi is a matter of urgency? So we go to line 32. Madam said Akira, forgive my disruption, but I come with a matter of urgency. So this one's pretty straightforward. They're asking what the matter of urgency is. So it's simply just reading above and below the lines. In this case, if you read quite below, he actually says the answer to that. I have an opportunity to go to America as a dentist for Seattle's Japanese community. That is the answer. So we're basically looking for him just going to the U.S. or a new country to get a job. And what do you know? That's actually what C says. If you look at all the answer choices, they do not. Um, it's actually stated directly in this text where the answer C is found. So there's no doubt that is the correct answer. So number 10, because this is also a evidence-based question, so it's connected with question 9. So which choice provides the best evidence? We actually found where it was. Lines 42. So 42. And 42 is actually here. So answer is B. Okay, so that was so as you can see, if you simply just read around the lines and cross out what you know is incorrect, then you should be able to get the answer pretty easily. Then we go back to main idea questions. But first, you want to read the passage as a whole now to understand the basic idea of the passage. So I'm just going to leave the screen here for a bit, or you can just pause it to read the passage quickly. So I'll just leave it here for a few seconds. Okay, so here's the second part. Okay, so now we go to main idea questions. Which choice best describes what happened in the passage? So, having read the passage, you should know that let's look through each choice. One character argues with another character that intrudes on her home. No one's intruding on someone's home because that's a little harsh, and that's not the case here, so that's wrong. One character receives a surprising request. That's pretty open. Nothing's wrong in this sentence. One character reminisces about choices she had made over the years. That's not the exact main uh, thing that happens in the passage. And then the criticize another character. Criticism is pretty harsh hitting, so that's probably not the correct answer. So the answer is B. Which choice best describes the developmental pattern of the passage? So again, reading the passage, you should know what the pattern is by just simply looking at the answer choice. A careful analysis or traditional practice. That's not the case here because the traditional practice is actually non-traditional because he wants to marry her at a unwieldy time. So be a detailed depiction of a meaningful encounter that may seem correct. Let's look at the answer choices to see a definitive response to a series of questions. That's not the correct answer. And D, a cheerful recounting of amusing anecdote. It's not really amusing here. That's not the correct tone. So the answer is B, a detailed depiction of a meaningful encounter. So we did number 3. Okay, which reaction does Akira most fear from Chi? Now, this question is also line-based, so there's actually a part in the passage that states exactly what we're looking for here. So, and that is actually right here. We have an understanding, please don't judge my candidacy by Madame seamless of the proposal. So, what does that mean? It means that she will consider this proposal inappropriate. She will mistake the earnestness for immaturity. Immaturity is kind of harsh, so that's all. She'll consider his unscheduled imposition, not exactly an imposition here. She'll underestimate the sincerity of his emotions. You can't really see, or your opinion would probably guess it would be emotions, but here would be A. She'll consider his proposal inappropriate. That's basically restating or rewording what we have an understanding. Please don't judge my candidacy by some singleness of proposal. So where did we find that? We found that in line 61, 2, and 3. 63. So the answer would be, or question number 5 answer would be C, line 63 to 64. So number 6, in the passage, Akira addresses Chi with affection but not genuine love. You can't really see emotions again, so you can't really see anything. You can actually see some examples as how he reacted to her. He bowed, he called her madam. These are all ways of showing politeness, trust, sincerity. So it's not affection, it's not adductivity, and it's not amusement. So it's actually respect, as I just showed you. So the answer is D, respect. So as you can see, we just went through the whole passage. So that wasn't that bad. All you gotta do is read and all your questions and just read line by line. Don't answer the questions based on your opinion. So that is basically it. Let's see. If anyone has any questions, you can type in the Skybound chat. If there are no questions, then we just today through this lesson we went through the tips for single double passage, and we also went through a quick section on showing you a few questions, how to answer them, and how to use the strategies in a passage scenario. If there are no questions, then I'm going to end it. Okay, thank you. Bye.